We're going to be hearing those stories all night. Right, Santiago? Okay. Now, ahora sí, we want to invite Gilbert Reyes of Horner Accordions to say a few words.
Primeramente, on behalf of Horner, I want to say condolences to the Jimenez family. And thank you for letting me be part of the family. I've known Flaco for many years. And I got to know him really well when I started working with him because we wanted to do a special accordion, the Flaco Jimenez Signature Series accordion. And as I was flying today, I was remembering some of the stories. And it was, I believe, 2011. Flaco and I were in California. We were promoting the Flaco Jimenez Signature Series accordion. I believe Chris Stratch was with us. And we were at this festival. And this gentleman comes up to me and he says, Mr. Reyes, is it possible that Flaco can sign one of these accordions that I just bought, the Signature Series? I said, absolutely, let me talk to Flaco. Flaco went ahead and grabbed the accordion and started signing it. And then the gentleman looks at me and he says, by the way, Mr. Reyes, I think there's something wrong with the accordion. I go, what do you mean? He said, no disrespect, but there is something different about it. I go, well, tell me. And Flaco is signing and he's kind of listening. And the guy says, well, I play accordion. I've been playing for some years, not as good as Flaco, but when I play that accordion, it doesn't sound like Flaco. So I'm looking at Flaco, and Flaco has this big grin on his face, right? And he's just kind of signing it, and he gives it back to him, and he says to them, no es el acordeón, es el mono. It's not the accordion, it's the man, basically, that's what he said. So we were laughing, you know. So that was Flaco, always making a joke. But when I started working with Flaco, I had no idea, you know, because we needed to find out his tuning and stuff like that. So I went to his house, and the first thing I noticed at his workstation was this, some bellows, tuning bellows, if you will. It was an old piano bellow, and he had two pieces of wood on each side. He glued them, right? And so on the top it has a hole. That's how you tune you get a reed and you listen to it, and that's how you tune it. I'm like, okay. I thought it was going to be something different, but that's cool, you know? And when you tune a reed, for example, a reed has two parts. It's got a tongue and it's got a metal base. And Flaco, I've known for many years that he does his own tuning, right? He did his own tuning, repaired his own accordions, and he had his particular sound. So I thought, okay, he's probably going to get one of these interesting tools because I've been going to the factories for many years in Germany and Italy, and they have all this equipment. Well, Flaco takes out a clothespin, una horquilla. He jams it into the reed and he starts filing. And I'm like, wow, unbelievable. I had never seen that before. He says, no, hombre, ha sido más. I said, okay. So then I thought, okay, so he fixed the reed and he's showing me how to do this. And then I noticed there was an old pot with wax because the reeds are attached to the los burros, reed blocks, right? With wax. So he's heating up this thing on his table, an old pot, and he's got an old spoon that he bent, and he's grabbing the wax and he's putting it on there real carefully. And I'm like, unbelievable. I'd never seen that before. You know, so here he was working with all these handmade tools. It was just remarkable. I thought, man, to me it was raw, it was direct, and it was great. Just like him, right? You know, and for the Signature Series accordion, his tuning was unique, right? We call it swing tuning. I don't want to get really technical, but for example, when you hear the note of an accordion, it kind of vibrates. Well, he had it tuned right in the middle. It didn't vibrate too much or too little. In other words, it wasn't too wet or too dry, so it was right in the middle. But another thing that he did was he modified the accidentals, the 3 buttons on the top of the accordion, right? And I said, well, why do you do that? He says, well, it's because I play a lot of chromatic scales. So we were going back and forth. Well, should I include that onto the signature series or not? He says, well, you know, people don't play like me, so just do the standard tuning, the swing tuning, and forget about the rest. I said, okay, well then, we'll do that. So I said, I'm gonna need some reed blocks, okay? I need the way you tune them. So he sent them to me, and then a week later he called me, he said, Gil, you got the reed blocks, right? I go, yeah. How did they look? See, he was very proud of his work. He says, did the wax look okay? I go, yeah, because it's going to Germany, right? Yeah. What about the tuning? Was it good? I said, Flaco, it's great. Thank you, you know? So he was that kind of a guy. He was, you know, into the details with his accordion. So basically the sound came from his hands, his soul, his homemade tools, his ability to modify the accordion to fit him. It was so unique. To Flaco, the accordion was everything. He would just call me just to say, hey, you know, I'm doing a new tuning, you know, I'm gonna do a Corona 3 and we're gonna do this and that, or I found a new method to fix it. Every time he spoke about accordions, he lit up like a kid, you know? Even when we were together, he was like in a different plane when we were talking about accordions. The accordion was his safe place. It was his purpose, his joy. And through it, he gave joy to the world. I'm truly going to miss Flaco. Not just the legend, but the man I got to work with, laugh with, and learn from. Rest in peace, maestro. Thank you for the music. Thank you for the magic. Gracias.